So Doctor Who Series 11. So I think it's safe to assume this series has been crowned the worst of the whole entire show, but is it really that bad? Now everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but I don't agree that it's that bad. I personally enjoy every series of this show, and I could watch any single one of them at any given time. So when I say I actually prefer watching Series 11 to Series 7 or Series 2, I don't hate them, I just enjoy this more. And yes, we're starting off very controversial. I'm hoping you at least expected that from the title of the video, otherwise you're going to be in for a little bit of a shock. I want to get to the main reason behind me liking this series straight away, and it's got two main reasons. The first is it's fun, and the second and most important one is it's enjoyable. And yes, I actively enjoyed the whole of Series 11, not just certain episodes. Now I know after saying that some of you are already typing away saying I am wrong, but I've recently realised something about the way in which I personally watch TV shows, in that I don't really look too deeply into the episodes, and I pretty much take a lot of things at surface level. And I don't think this is a concentration problem at all, because I am invested in what I'm watching. It's just those minor details and those little issues that come up, they don't really affect my enjoyment of the episode. Many people have issues with a lot of things in this series that I just don't. It's not that I don't see them, or I don't care, because I definitely do. It's just they never affect my viewing experience, really. I myself love watching videos of people explaining exactly how the hybrid worked in Series 9 and who the hybrid is, or videos of people explaining why Donna's character arc is the best in the whole show. I do enjoy watching those. It's great to see parts of the show you miss, and these are rarely made about Chibnall too. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a video talking about why Ryan's the best character, or how the Stenza cross throughout the whole of Series 11, and how the connections tie in each episode. I've never seen that for this series. I don't think that's a bad thing though, because I see Moffat and RTD's depth as a benefit and an addition into my liking of their series, rather than Chibnall's lack of depth hindering his, if that makes sense. Like, if I missed that the Master was secretly trying to contact Martha the whole way through Series 3, that does not take away from Series 3's finale. That only adds to the stakes and excitement of that episode, because I didn't know the whole time, and just knowing that extra detail and the extra care that went into it just boosts that. I think that this rendition of Doctor Who is equally as enjoyable as Moffat and RTD's, and in some cases I actually enjoy it more. For me, if a show or an episode has kept my attention and been enjoyable from start to finish, the person who created it or the group that created it have done their job really well. And I enjoyed Series 11 start to finish, same with the episodes. So for me at least, the creators behind Series 11 did a good job. I know this won't turn those of you that hate this era into liking this era, but I wanted to make this video to try and give an explanation to why some people do actually enjoy this series, and how it's possible people like this series, because there's definitely way too much hate online about this series and the people that enjoy it. And whilst the viewing figures did slowly decline in this era, the final series still had 4.5 million people on average watching week to week, which means they must have enjoyed it, and that's a lot of people that still enjoyed this era. So I still don't really understand this divide between fans. So I thought I would dive into the individual components about Series 11 that I enjoyed, rather than just give an overview. And so the first of those is the Doctor herself. I really like Jodie Whitaker as the Doctor, and she's really fun to watch throughout the whole series. A big complaint people have with her Doctor is that she doesn't feel like the Doctor, because she never has an I am the Doctor speech. But that really doesn't matter to me. Like Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor. He has those really great speeches like the War speech and the one in The Doctor Falls, and they are brilliant, don't get me wrong. It's part of the reason why he is my favourite of the Doctors, but I didn't only like him for that. I enjoyed him before because he was so funny, he was so weird, and he was just mysterious. And he was in situations where all of that got pushed to the forefront, and it was like the main parts of scenes, and it was so fun to watch. He did that great, and that is on an episode to episode basis. The 13th Doctor is no exception to this. She reminds me a lot of the 11th Doctor in the fact that she's a very physical performer, and she also makes those really weird comments that make her seem like she has no clue about human life, even though we know that's not true. Obviously, the 10th Doctor exists. It's literally like watching a female 11th Doctor, which is not a bad thing because he was brilliant. I know that means it's not necessarily a new personality for the Doctor, but we've had 15 Doctors at this point, and I feel like there's only so many truly unique personalities you can have for this character. There's bound to be overlap, and it really does not annoy me here that that happens. Although people say she doesn't have major speeches, there are speeches in this series that I like. My two favourites are the ones from The Witchfinders, where she is talking to King James right before she is trialed as a witch, and then also at the end of It Takes You Away, towards Graham and Eric, as she's trying to persuade them to leave this alternate world. They aren't as epic, angry, and loud as some of the other speeches, but I don't think they're meant to be, and if you look at them from a words perspective, they are so Doctor-like and if they were said in those ways, people would equally class them as top speeches. It's just the lack of that epicness, I think, causes people to just overlook them completely. It's a small positive about the series, I know, but I really like the sonic screwdriver she has. For one, I really like that she creates it herself, and I know people are like, how's she creating that on Earth in a repair shop in Sheffield? I mean, in the episode, she has the technology from the Stenza, this really powerful alien race, and then she is in a repair shop, so she will have the tools. That's an easy enough explanation for how she can make a sonic screwdriver herself on Earth. But also, I really like that she made it herself for the fact that I found it weird that the TARDIS kind of gave it to them, because it always felt like a tool that the Doctor like made and modified themselves to improve and add all these features to. It felt like their own little gadget thing that they just messed with, so I kind of like that that is kind of exactly what it is here. I really like the grey and orange together as well. I think that suits it. The crystal on the top is kind of cool. It's no different to just having glass on the front with a normal light, but the shape is just different and unique. This one I have here does not spin. The one in the show does. I don't know what it actually does, if it has any use, but it's really cool. Also, the sound by far is like my favorite of the Sonics. I don't know if people ever mention the sound being a thing they like or dislike. I think the sound on this one is the best out of all of them. I know it's a massive unpopular opinion saying this is the best sonic screwdriver, but it is for me, and I don't see it being topped anytime soon, especially because I don't really like the 15th Doctor's sonic screwdriver. It just, at least right now, doesn't look that great to me. I am interested to know, though, what is your favourite sonic screwdriver? Let me know down in the comments, because I would love to see if anyone agrees with me, and I'm not really sure what the general opinion is anyway, so it'd be cool to see what people's favourites actually are. Now, I know a lot of people hate the episodic nature of this series. For me, perfect breath of fresh air. Love it. The series feels so different to the rest of the show completely, but in a good way, because it still felt like Doctor Who. It was just a really nice, almost needed change. I like every story in this series as well. Yes, even Arachnids in the UK. It has issues, and it's my least favourite of them, but I can still find enjoyment in it. And Saranga Conundrum people don't like. The Pating is great. That is one of the best villains in this series, and maybe one of my favourites of the Whitaker era. I really wish they brought them back. And no, that one in the New Year special does not count, because they weren't really there. I want them back in a full episode. I mean, yes, they might not be the best of the best stories, but they are all really solid, enjoyable episodes, and it's one of the most consistent series in the whole show for me. Along with these changes to the show's structure, we also had a new composer, Sega Nakanola. Murray Gold's soundtracks are amazing, and they are probably more memorable for me, but that doesn't take away from Sega Nakanola. For me, his music fully embodies this era the whole way through. Murray Gold's music is great, but I think the fact that it's memorable is that it's always used in really epic or sad or angry moments, where his music's kind of the main focus in the scene. Like, if I were to mention some of the memorable ones, you have Doomsday, which is paired with one of the saddest companion X's in the entire show. And then I also really like The Shepherd's Boy, and that is tied to one of the most epic episodes of the Capaldi era, Heaven Sent. Most of the songs of his that I know and remember come from these really cool and epic moments. It's not that Murray's music's terrible otherwise, and it's not memorable, it's just for me personally, I just don't always remember the more subtle music, which is very similar to what Sega Nakanola's work is in this era. And that's not an issue of his, it's just the fact that this series and a lot of the Whitaker era doesn't have true stakes, and there's not many of those sadder epic scenes to allow for that music to exist. So for me, Sega Nakanola perfectly scores these episodes and does exactly what he needs, and I'm sure if those moments had came up, he would be able to do it equally as well as Murray Gold. As well as these two things, we also had a full like cinematography and style overhaul with this series. The sets are the main thing for me, because they definitely are the best they've ever been in this show in Series 11. Every episode feels so uniquely different, and that's fully thanks to the sets as well as the location filming. I fully believe these characters are exactly where they say they are, and I don't always get that in some of the older series. The look and the atmosphere of Rosa is nothing like Demons of the Punjab, which is then nothing like Ghost Monument, which is then nothing like It Takes You Away. It's honestly phenomenal, and it makes every episode stand out completely, and they're all memorable, even the ones that are set on Earth each time. Definitely a subtle thing that people would overlook and not really care too much about, but I really appreciate it, and it does make the viewing experience better. Unfortunately, that is all I have for you today, but thank you for watching this video, and if you did enjoy it, then please consider watching one of the ones on your screen now, as I'm sure you'll enjoy it as much as you have this. And goodbye.